Welcome to Riding the Braille Trail. I'm your host, Sean Paulson. Like me, you may have a disability, but I'm here to show you that life doesn't have to end. So what do you say? Let's hit the trail together.
Go! Oh, you got that one. Got the biggest one.
Thanks for hanging out with me here on Riding the Braille Trail. Today I thought I would give you some background on me and why I decided to start this channel. Just over 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with a genetic disorder known as MELAS. And that stands for mitochondrial encephalomyopathy, lactic acidosis, and stroke-like symptoms. In a 6-week period, I lost 90% of my vision and 50% of my hearing. I also suffer from heart issues and some stroke-like symptoms, and my muscles build a very significant amount of lactic acid, which leaves me really weak and tired all the time. I spent 2 years in and out of the hospitals and specialist offices as they tried to make heads or tails of this disorder. It's extremely rare, and it is one of the disorders that isn't studied a lot, so they really didn't know what to look for and how to treat it. Before all of this happened, I was healthy and outgoing, and I loved to hunt and fish and hike, camp, and I spent a lot of time with my kids and my grandkids. I have a thriving business as a stage performer and speaker, and for the first year of this, I shut down. I felt like I was useless, that my life had ended, and that I was no longer viable to society. I felt that everything that I have done in my life and all the things that I cherished was gone. And in a way, my life did end. Confucius said, "We all have 2 lives. The second one begins when you realize you only have one." I realized that my second life started. This isn't just a new chapter in the old book. Everybody that talks to me says, this is just a new chapter, and it's not. It's not a new chapter. This is a whole new book with an entirely new story. I've learned how to adapt and move on. I've learned how to still perform and do the things that I love to do. The hardest part for me was learning to accept the things that I can no longer do. I know that there are things that I just cannot do. I have to accept that. People look at the word disabled and having a disability as not being able to accomplish anything they want. Well, believe it or not, we can't. There are things I just cannot do. Obviously, at this point in my life, I really cannot drive. I probably can. It just would not be a really safe option. So I don't drive. I just have to realize there are things that I cannot do. And as long as I can keep that realization, it keeps my feet on the ground, and it keeps me understanding that there are things I can do. And I have found things to replace those things that I can no longer do. But I still fish, and I still hunt, and I still hike. And in the upcoming episodes, you're going to see me go golfing and go to the batting cages and rock climbing and even perform on stage, and actually anything else that I can think of. My life didn't end with this disorder. I've just learned how to continue doing things. I've learned that my life started because of this disorder. I can continue performing and doing a lot of the things that I do because of an anomaly that's in my vision. I have a few saving graces and different abilities that have come with the disorder that really kind of aid me in this journey, but there's none of them as important as this right here. Orange duct tape. If you notice, it's not just orange, it's that fluorescent glow-in-the-dark neon orange. Because of my disorder, it's the nerves the optic nerves that are affected, not my eyes. Now, what I mean by that is my eyes see 20/20, but the signal never reaches my brain. So, for some reason that the doctors can't explain, fluorescent orange and fluorescent pink get through. I can't tell the difference between the two colors. They look the same to me, and there really isn't a shape involved, but they're like glow sticks in the dark. That's the best way for me to try and explain it. They just glow. It just stands out. I can see it from a long distance, as a matter of fact, like construction signs if I'm driving down the road. Okay, if I'm riding in the car as we're driving down the road, I can see those construction signs for a quarter of a mile away because they glow in my eyes for whatever reason, in my brain, I guess, for whatever reason. So I use that orange duct tape to my advantage. I put it on everything. It's on my cane. It's, in fact, it's on this. If you notice, I have I don't even know what this is. It's a bottle of something. I think it's lotion. But it has orange duct tape on it so I can find it. I don't know what it is, so the duct tape really is not helping me. But that's the way I do things. I take the tape and, like, when I perform, we line the entire stage area and any obstacles that may be on the stage with the orange duct tape. And just like the cartoon Wall-E, I follow the lines. With that, I know where the edge of the stage is and any other obstacles that may be on stage, and I can walk around and I can talk to the audience and I can do the things that they expect to see me do. Up until very recently, I was performing and doing things on stage and in front of groups of people, and nobody knew I was blind. I spent months practicing and practicing so that I could get on that stage and I could go do the things that I love without anybody knowing, because I felt it was going to be a detriment to my show, that people would no longer want to come. And I've learned that the biggest compliment that anybody could ever give me is the compliment of, I didn't know you were blind. You could tell me anything else about the performance and anything else about what was going on, and that didn't mean as much to me as when somebody actually said, I never knew. I couldn't tell. I spent months dedicating my time to finding a way to keep that performance and making it where people still wanted to come and attend and see what I was doing. One of the other anomalies is I can see movement. Again, I can't tell you what is moving. I can just tell you that it's there. For instance, to give you an example, if I was standing on the side of a roadway and a car drives by, I could tell you a car drove by. Not just because I could hear it, but I could see it drive by. I would be able to see that movement as it goes by down the road. I wouldn't be able to tell you what kind of car it was. I would not be able to tell you what color it is. All I can do is just tell you that it drove by. And the downside to this is that if I try and follow it, or if I try and look directly at it, it disappears. It's no longer moving because I am trying to follow it. My mind does not see the movement any longer. It becomes stationary and it disappears. It's like watching a David Copperfield special where he makes the Eiffel Tower disappear. The car is moving, and the minute I turn to see what it is or focus on it, it's gone. It just disappears. If I stop and stare straight ahead, it reappears again and drives off. That's just one of the things that I kind of have to deal with. It becomes very frustrating for me because I want to see what it is. It's for 40 years of my life, I've been able to see, and I'm used to looking when something moves, and as soon as I look at it, it goes away. And so it becomes super frustrating, and I've had to learn to adjust to the fact that if it's moving, just stop and stare straight ahead and let it go through. This is one of the ways I continue hunting. Think of it like a bird. As it flies overhead, I can see it's moving. Again, if I try and follow it or look at it to see what it is, it completely disappears. So I have to just stare in one spot and allow them to travel through. And then I have to kind of calculate in my mind where that bird is flying and when it's going to reach a certain point. And then I just pull up and shoot and hopefully hit it. Now, obviously, I have to have a spotter to make sure that I stay safe and that I shoot only the birds that are in season. And so I really have to trust whoever that spotter is as well. Stationary targets are a lot harder for me. It does take a lot of practice to line up a shot, but I've also learned to accomplish this. I can't explain this one as well. People have asked me how I do this, and they've asked me to explain it. And my answer to most people is like, it's just like trying to explain what the color 7 tastes like. There's just no way to explain how I can judge where something is and shoot at it. However, I spent a lot of time practicing out on the range, and we've come up with a couple of ways to make this work. And generally, it's somebody else is my eyes. Somebody else lines it up for me. But it's worked up until this point as well. I went deer hunting this year for the first time since losing my vision, and I actually shot a deer. And it was stationary, which, again, if it had ran off, I probably would have seen it. But I was able to line up the shot and make a very good, clean shot. And I was extremely proud of myself and humbled by the fact that I can still do some of those things. This is about hopefully inspiring people to understand that life doesn't have to stop because of a disability. And there are so many things out there we can still do. And it's all a matter of just doing it and trying and having the motivation to say, it doesn't matter how this turns out, I need to see if I can do it. And also realizing what your limitations are. Knowing what those limitations are expanded my horizons, because I was able to start doing some things that I've never done before, replacing the things that I thought I had lost. And just that acceptance alone was probably the biggest thing that has moved me forward in this disorder. I'm just hoping that somebody out there will see this and be inspired to say, you know what, if he can do it, so can I. Whether you're disabled or not, doesn't matter. Go out, try new things, find experiences, live life. Remember, this is the only life we have. And write those pages in those books and those chapters, because it's all about living, and it's all about living for that moment and going on with your life. So I hope that all of you can take something home from this, and that you'll enjoy some of the videos that are coming up, because I really don't know how they're going to turn out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you have an idea of something you would like me to try, you know what, send me an email or post it here, and we'll do our best to put it together and see what we can do. But until then, you guys keep going, living for the moment, and ride on.